It is I, Anderwood, return to you to talk about the classes that made Dungeons and Dragons famous. And here, in the darkness, in the middle of night, alone, there's only one class I'm going to talk about, really. And that is the Necromancer. That's right. The Necromancer is the class for you if you want to be abjectly badass. Necromancers use the power of death to snuff life out of their victims before reanimating them into their mindless slaves for eternity, all the while plotting out their own course towards lichdom, vampirism, mummydom, or any other sort of undead omnipotence they wish to inflict upon the world. Necromancers have an end game that has nothing to do with amassing gold and retiring to open up a tavern in a tree. Hell no. Necromancers are designing their ideas for an empire beyond your imagination, not beyond theirs. They are clever, creative, dark, sinister, and so ruthless they will do whatever it takes. Necromancers are often maligned by the bitch ass, but the bitch ass have often maligned many powerful, free-thinking individuals. The Necromancer is capable of thought outside the normal scope, and because of that, can have a great birth of ability besides the simplistic interpretation of necromancy. Oh, he hangs out in graveyards with a shovel, whacks people over the heads, and digs up old bodies. Yes, he does all of those things, but there is so much more that the Necromancer is capable of. The Necromancer understands life in a way that no other sort of wizard can. Because he understands death. He understands the importance of death. He understands death because he fears death tremendously. And in so fearing death, he embraces those true gifts of magic that are present to preserve one. He weighs the pros and cons and waits for the right moment and opts for the best possible plan. And then he embraces life eternal, with hordes of undead minions to do his bidding for all times. The Necromancer can be ruthless and cold, but could also be charismatic and charming, could be pleasant, could be a socialite, could be a prince or a duke who engages in dark, forbidden arts, but has an intellect and an insight that allows casual curiosity to breach past that curtain of no return, and then it is on to a life of research and information that builds a foundation for that immortality which is to come. The thing you must keep in mind about necromancers, they may be fabulously old. There is absolutely no reason that a necromancer could not be thousands of years, tens of thousands of years, or older. Doesn't look like conjuration such a good choice after all. Doesn't look like enchantment or illusion are going to hold up to the darkness that is necromancy. Necromancers can also be of more benevolent alignments, certainly. A necromancer who wishes only to put those wrongs away. Now let's examine this. The good necromancer. He wishes to hunt down those evil things in the night that cause pain and harm to those around him. Vampires, ghouls, and such. He's going to use the magic for that way. But you must remember, the more you learn, the more you know. The more horrible, flesh-rended text you read, it starts changing one's perception. The more time you spend in graveyards battling ghouls, less time you really are so different from them. And in time, this lofty, good soul, golden individual begins to tarnish and gray and rust and rot. Perhaps, before too long, he even succumbs to some sort of undead affliction after all throwing himself out there as ghouls. Such a character can make a great ghast. And now that that thing he fought for, life, is gone, there is no acceptance for this ghast. How do his morals change? How do they decay? Does he become every bit that same sort of necromancer he vowed he would never be? It is dark power. It is an allure. It is an adrenaline rush and an addiction. It is a drug. This tremendous power over life and death. Remember that when you play a necromancer. Put that kind of passion into the character's cold, passionless mind. Be the fire that burns inside the dead body. Think about it like that. Ooh, do you have a character all of a sudden that has tremendous pathos, that has tremendous playability? As we portray this cold, dead, intellectual veneer, but behind it is nothing more than tumultuous emotions, tremendous fear of that which he cannot control, fear of that which he cannot dominate. And there is so much in the world, even the great masters cannot control or dominate. No one and nothing, even the gods, do not have full autonomy, do not have full ability to control the world at their desire. Now, a necromancer, even one who is scores of thousands of years old, epically old and powerful, but isolated, lonely. That's a key point to always put over with those old undead and necromancers. The loneliness. Perhaps he talks too long to the party members because he hasn't talked to anyone in 8 centuries. He is lonely. He is starving like an old man on the phone with a telemarketer. He damn well knows he needs to get off. He can't. He has to have that warmth. And the necromancer craves that warmth of life far more than other individuals do. But he is shunned and shunted. He is dark and deranged and evil and vicious. This individual can be very dangerous. But in the same point, has fatal flaws that can be exploited. Think about all those things. Think about emotion. Never make a necromancer. I have no emotion. I'm a robot. Character. Take the emotion and push it away, but have it come back. And perhaps even at the most inopportune times, costing you, getting in the way. A necromancer is still a man, a woman of flesh and blood, with fire, with passion, with tremendous passion. In fact, it's likely that same passion, that same torment, that same fear, that same loneliness, that same desire, that same covetousness, that same lust that led them to pursue the dark path to power, thinking perhaps to take a shortcut, but inevitably, where does that road lead? Think about it, and think about it again, and you will come up with answers that are most excellent. And you can make an astonishing NPC that can be so tragic, so sad, yet so unbelievably terrifying, so horrendously scary, so abjectly evil, but so sympathetic. And the characters can look at him as a mirror of what they could become should they go down the wrong way. That sets up an outstanding showdown. Not the simple, I killed a bunch of monsters, got up there, we killed the wizard, necromancer, what was he? I don't know, he took his rod and shoved it straight up his ass, tossed him off the turret. No. Make them feel guilty for what they're doing. Present the necromancer as a victim of himself. It's a victim of society. You could easily twist and push the character away that you have 6 players playing. Maybe 2 of them say, we got nothing to do with this. Maybe one of them's like, we got to rehabilitate him. But then one of them drops the hammer on that nugget and explodes it all over his necropolis of doom. And you can have that party conflict, that dissension. I mean, that makes great RP, that great storytelling. Before and then after the climax, and perhaps the final battle with him, where are they able to rehabilitate him? Are they? How long does that last? Great, so many interesting stories around the idea of necromancy, around the idea of how dark and sinister the magic is, but how that magic corrupts. People say, oh, well, necromancy magic isn't evil. I say, stupid. Of course it's evil. It's horrendously evil. It is death and negativity. It is shadow. It is the inverse of everything that is wholesome. It's what necromancers tap into. That's primal wrongness. The easiest way to describe it. It's the shortcut. But then again, like they say, nothing's free. Eventually.